The readmission of Morocco into the African Union is viewed by many as strategic, as it will propel the bond of oneness among African countries. Moroccan King Mohammed VI said while addressing the African Union Assembly that Morocco and Moroccans missed being part of the Union. Despite their withdrawal from the Union while it lasted, Morocco sustained relations with sister African countries through bilaterals across various sectors. The very recent King Mohammed said is with Nigeria in the area of revamping the agricultural sector through joint ventures in fertilizer production and economic emancipation. So, on Diplomatic Ties today is the readmission of Morocco, its significance and sundry issues. My guest to have a talk on the conversation is former representative of Nigeria in Netherlands, His Excellency Ambassador Chuka Udidibia. He has been Under Secretary and variously Acting Permanent Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He's a diplomat with wealth of experience on global issues. Your Excellency, welcome to Diplomatic Ties.
Thank you very much.
My name is Omini Oden. Stay on for the program. The focus is the readmission of Morocco into the African Union over 30 years after, when we return. That was the formal readmission of Morocco into the Union 33 years after. Chairperson of African Union and President of Guinea, Alpha Condé, described the return of Morocco to the AU as very strategic and propels the bond of oneness among African countries.
The return of Morocco to the African Union is a very good thing. Rwanda, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like Nigeria, have supported the return of Morocco to the African Union without condition.
Morocco has come in under no conditions, and I think that this should allow to build a new environment that will allow to build peace between Sahara and Morocco and have this issue solved within the African Union.
What will you say is the big deal about the return of Morocco?
First of all, I will prefer not to use the word readmission, which you used in your introduction, because Morocco was not readmitted into the AU. Morocco was rather admitted into the AU as the 55th member of the organization. There's a major difference in that, and actually, anyway, we'll get to that later. That is
let's get that straight. Readmission, admission. Why will you say I will not say readmitted and you say they admitted?
Now, Morocco left the withdrew rather from the Organization for African Unity, the OAU, in 1984, following the admission of Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, SADR, into the Continental Organization. OAU is now defunct, and the continent, member states or African countries came together and established the African Union with a constitutive act that is not exactly the same as the charter of the OAU. Okay. Now, with Morocco now joining the AU, it's now joining as a new member. In fact, in diplomatic terms, it's called accession. It's not a founding member. It was a founding member of OAU. But this time, Morocco has become a member that has acceded to the treaty. A country accedes to a treaty after the treaty comes into existence by its founding members. Okay. So it's not returning. Okay. It's coming as if, in fact, SADR is a senior member in OAU now.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Yeah, but the bottom line, at least, we have been able to make us know why we cannot say they are readmitted. I mean, given the fact that African Organization of Africa in the OAU is defunct, now AU, so they are coming in as a new member, right?
Yes,
From your
yes, but there is also very, in fact, it's the crux of the matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I say so because, let me say it right from this very beginning. You see, by its admission as a member or the 55th member of AU, Morocco is bound, or is under obligation to accept the provisions of the Constitutive Act of the African Union, one of which is the respect for colonial boundaries inherited at independence by all African countries. Okay. So, what that points to actually is that it will be difficult for Morocco to go back to its claim on Western Sahara.
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Now, Morocco is back in AU, is back in the union of one family in Africa. What clearly is the significance? Because now some African countries were very resistant, a lot also were very receptive, and Nigeria is one of those countries that said unconditionally let Morocco return. So what is the play out on this?
Well, there are many implications, for Morocco's membership of AU. First of all, I personally believe that its admission at its request to join the AU is positive. I think it's important that it comes back into the fold so that African countries will be complete to take a decision at the level of the AU without any member missing, particularly given the fact that Morocco is the 5th largest economy in Africa with a population of just about 35 million. So it has a lot of contributions to make, both on the level of the continent and for its own benefit also. Then, now, for the countries that opposed, 9 countries actually, mostly Southern African countries, that opposed Morocco's admission into the AU, they have very good reasons for doing so. Because these are countries that have faced, if you like, oppression, either by their last colonial masters or suffered minority rule, apartheid, as the case may be. There's the Southern African countries, and they were the last in Africa that gained independence or gained majority rule or established majority rule in their countries. So they suffered a great deal. And they also do not see any reason why there should be a colonial territory in Africa that Morocco is still holding on. It's the only remaining, Western Sahara is the only remaining colonial territory in Africa. And this is the first time, too, that an African country annexed another an African territory and holding on to it as a colonial power. It has never happened before. Okay. Yeah. So they were and still are very vehement against the admission of Morocco into the African Union for this reason.
I'll go into the politics of it. Now, you have talked about the African countries that oppose the admission of Morocco. Now, the ones that wholeheartedly, unconditionally said, okay, admit Morocco, what would have informed it?
You see, Morocco has been out of the AU for about 33 years. All these years, honestly, Morocco has missed much, but mostly politically, and to some extent also economically, because even though Morocco had not been a part of the AU, but it has been part of Africa. So in all decisions or outposts of the of the African Union, Morocco always has a seat. there is what we call the African Union and there's what is called the African Group. So Morocco has always been part of the African Group, you know. Now, but that still keeps Morocco away, you know, from being part of major African events, major political developments and decisions, you know, in Africa. So I think on that basis alone, it's important for Morocco to come back into the fold. Now, as far as the issue of Western Sahara is concerned, and this is very, very important, you see, the presence of Morocco as part of AU or as a member of AU will allow a platform, will create a platform for further negotiations, you know, between the AU and Morocco, or tripartite negotiations between among AU, Western Sahara, and Morocco.
When you say Western Sahara, you mean Sahrawi?
Yes, it's either addressed as Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic or Western Sahara is the another name for it. So to create a platform to negotiation towards resolving
that brought up the argument.
Now, but before I talk, let me not forget this. You see, there has been a stalemate. The UN Secretary General's envoy, the last envoy on the Moroccan issue, on the Western Sahara issue, Mr. Christopher Ross, you know, could not make progress because of this stalemate. This thing had been stalemated for a long time. Before him, there was James Baker, who came out with James Baker Proposal 1 and later James Baker Proposal 2, and at a point, even had to resign, had to leave that job because he felt no progress was being made. So there was no platform for further discussion, for further negotiations. So this is an opportunity, you know, for a forum to be created or for the parties involved to converge at a forum that will help make progress.
But a school of thought feel that now AU has recognized and admitted Southern Sahara, the Sahrawi Republic, into AU. Now, Morocco coming now, that is going to make it a lot easier. That the negotiation will be a lot easier and not as cumbersome as it was before now.
Yes, that's precisely the point I was trying to make. But there is also another angle. If you don't mind, I can address that angle now. Now, you see, with the entry into, or rather, by joining the AU,
because if the king
could be obtained
while addressing the assembly said, while their withdrawal lasted, they missed relations with other sister African countries, and they are happy. And AU chairperson said the countries that were a bit resistant about the admission of Morocco should welcome it and to propel the bond of oneness. Yeah. In this light,
you know, in diplomacy,
they will turn a new leaf.
In diplomacy, you know, such palatable words sometimes may not convey the real intentions. So at this stage, it's difficult to know the genuineness of the statement by the King of Morocco.
Okay,
the reason
is
that King Mohammed VI had been more adamant than his father, King Hassan II, on the issue of Western Sahara. I tell you why. You know, now, his father was amenable to referendum in Western Sahara towards independence, but believed that that referendum would be carried out in such a way that Morocco will win. That was why the problem, in fact, the main reason why that referendum never took place was because of the disagreement over voter eligibility. Because Morocco wanted those that will vote in favor of Morocco to be included to the exclusion of a larger number from Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, whereas the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic was also insisting on same, because Morocco had infiltrated a settler community in fact, there was what was called the Green March of 1975. 350,000 Moroccans went there. The whole place be occupied by Moroccans.
Okay.
Now, the current king no longer, in fact, he completely disagreed on any march towards independence of Morocco. What he is saying is that Western Sahara,
yes,
that Western Sahara can only be granted self-rule as a territory of Morocco, internal autonomy, which is different from self-determination. The principle that the African Union has adopted that right from 1963.
Which is one of the major fears some of the African countries expressed.
Exactly, right from 1963, when it was established as AU. And also a very important principle of the United Nations, that every territory, every living, there's that principle of self-determination of people should be able to exist on their own. Now, so
let me hold you there. The program once again is Diplomatic Ties, and we are taking a look at the admission of Morocco into the African Union. We'll be back shortly. I want to dig. The most important thing is that Morocco had the floor to address AU, and it made some startling statements.
Yes.
One of it is, while we're out of AU or out of African Union, Organization of African Union, now AU, we still sustain relations with other sister African countries. And while we're out, we are developed beyond where we were economically, industrial, and what have you. And we still establish MOUs, bilateral ties with these countries, the latest being Nigeria. Now, back home now, it said the recent being Nigeria, and it is in the area of agricultural development, startups, smallholder schemes, and indeed economic emancipation. Will you say Nigeria, which is one of the countries in Africa that unconditionally accepted the admission of Morocco, we should not tap on this?
Even if the issue of Western Sahara did not arise, Nigeria will always enjoy good relations with Morocco. Morocco respects Nigeria a great deal. In fact, Nigeria played a crucial role.
So in diplomacy, is interest not a factor now?
Of course.
If your interest is protected, what will you do?
It's a factor. But you see, in international relations, precisely what you have said, in international relations, every country pursues its interests. But the principle, the Chinese principle of foreign oil is general principle, but practiced more by the Chinese. They said, okay, we agree, we work on areas in which we agree, and disregard areas in which we don't disagree, in which we disagree, and not to let areas of disagreement, affect areas which we agree. And that simply means pursuing each other's national interest. I tell you, Nigeria played a pivotal role in the admission of Western Sahara in OAU in 1984. In fact, it was the same president who was president at the time, and he played that critical role. Now, as a result, Morocco severed diplomatic relations with most African countries that voted in favor of that admission, except Nigeria.
Really?
Yes, okay. Except Nigeria. So because he could not afford to sever relations with a big power like Nigeria, considering Nigeria's role in Africa. So we disagree. Nigeria and Morocco has always disagreed on the issue of Western Sahara. Morocco respects Nigeria's position on that. Nigeria also respects Moroccan position on that. But in spite of that disagreement, the two countries have continued to forge relations, economic relations in other areas, that have nothing to do with the issue of Western Sahara. So, as it stands now, we still have a lot to benefit from Morocco. Morocco has a lot to benefit from relations, mutual relations with Nigeria. The issue of Western Sahara notwithstanding. But the point I'm making is that Morocco is coming in, or appears to be coming in, creepingly, into the AU, possibly, I cannot say emphatically, possibly, to operate from inside, rather than banging at the door from outside in order to edge Western Sahara out of the AU. Because, Western Sahara is not yet a member of the United Nations.
But the chairperson made one strong appeal that he is aware some African countries resisted.
Can I say something on that?
I'm coming.
Yeah, you've reminded me of something.
Yeah, he said they were impervious to the admission of Morocco. But they should see it from the perspective of their admission coming to propel the oneness of the African continent.
Fine. But you see, like I said, I think the action of Morocco is a strategic and tactical move. Then, I said you reminded me of something. You see, there were two major candidates for the chairmanship of the AU Commission. The man from Senegal and the gentleman from Chad, the foreign minister of Chad. Morocco was banking, because Senegal supports Morocco on his claim over Western Sahara. He was hoping that the Senegalese will win and advocate, which will offer it a position to advocate for Morocco's interest. Fortunately, it was the Chadian that won. And the Chadian position on that issue, of course, is against Morocco. So, I think Morocco made its calculations, but what is very, very significant here is that Morocco has carried out intensive diplomatic campaign among African countries to support its claim on Western Sahara, before joining the African Union, especially in 2016.
Yes.
It carried out diplomatic campaign, and now, after all its campaign, it now indicated interest to join AU. It's very suspicious.
Okay. So, as a wrap-up, as a diplomat, now Morocco has been admitted into AU. You have given us the tantrums of the good, the bad, the ugly, the politicking, the maneuvering, the horse trading by Morocco. But the bottom line is that they are back, and AU has received them, and the AU has appealed to sister African countries to see their return as a propelling force to the bonding of the oneness of Africa, Pan-Africanism. So if, as a diplomat, you are addressing the opposing parties, those for and those against, but the issue is that they are back into the fold, what would you be telling African countries?
To utilize the opportunity of Moroccan membership of the AU to resolve the crisis in Western Sahara in favor of the people of Western Sahara. Okay. Yeah. Because it still remains the only territory in Africa that is not free. Let me also add that Western Sahara itself expressed pleasure, expressed happiness with the admission of Morocco into AU. Because, like I said earlier, it presents the opportunity to discuss the matter, to negotiate the issue of Morocco's withdrawal of its troops from
Okay.
its territory
I still insist.
and its independence.
I still insist on what I know. As a diplomat, you always look at Africa, you always look at the world, being somebody who has been within the UN structure. But my insistence is this: Nigeria, with all what you have said, can we still leverage on the admission of Morocco to do a lot of things within this short time?
You see, like I said earlier, the admission of Morocco into AU cannot in any way hold us back from enjoying excellent relations.
When you say us,
with
Nigeria now?
Nigeria, yes. Excellent relations with Morocco, because what we are pursuing is our national interest. Like I said, where we do not agree, we ignore that area and work on areas in which we agree with Morocco. But what is important is that the principle that we hold here, the principle of ensuring that all African countries or the vestiges of colonialism in Africa is completely wiped out.
Okay.
Is still holding. The African countries had held tenaciously to the admission of Western Sahara into the AU since 1984. And now it is Morocco that has blinked. That's Morocco left, and Morocco is now coming back. What is important in the return? Well, I wouldn't want to use the word return, or yes, return to the African fold, is that Morocco did not state or did not give conditions
For coming back.
For coming back. It now sits as a member along with Western Sahara as members, both as members of the African Union, which they could not imagine would ever have happened. In any case, that's the first reason why they left AU in the first place. So, but my fear, like I said earlier, is that return may be a great gift.
This is the much we can take on this segment of the program. It was not having a chat with you on this. You have tried to churn out the technicalities, the politics of it, the economics of it. And I believe as events unfold, when we meet again, you give us the other aspects of it. It was nice talking with you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's the much we can take on diplomatic ties today. We'll be taking a look at the admission, the return, the acceptance of Morocco into the African Union. His Excellency Ambassador Chuka Udidibia has tried within the time the program could allow to educate us on the politics of it, the diplomacy of it, the economics of it. But on the whole, the message is Morocco is back into the African Union. Let it be a propelling force that will enhance the bonding and oneness of other African countries. Thanks for being on the program today, and be our guest in time some other time.